The sharp crack of the slap silenced the entire garden. Glasses froze mid-toast. The string quartet faltered. 100 guests turned to stare as my father's hand landed across my cheek. My stepmother, Lillian, let out a high-pitched gasp, more horrified at the disruption than the bruise forming on my face. "You ungrateful child," my father hissed, his breath thick with wine and pride. "After all we've done for you." I touched my lip, felt the sting, and tasted blood. My coral lipstick smeared across my fingers, but I didn't care. My name is Elena Morales. I'm 32 years old. And 5 minutes ago, I was struck by my father at my younger brother Marco's wedding for refusing to hand over my penthouse in downtown San Diego. "They need a real home to start their family," Lillian had said earlier, pinning me near the champagne fountain. "Your place is just sitting there. Don't be selfish." The penthouse they wanted was mine, bought with long nights, freelance contracts, and 1,000 cups of vending machine coffee. While Marco partied through grad school and fumbled through 3 startups, I built a career in UX design from the ground up. "No," I told her calmly, even as my fingers trembled. "I worked for that home. I still work to keep it. Marco and Jessica can figure out their own lives." That's when my father appeared, cheeks red from Chardonnay and ego. "This isn't up for discussion, Elena. Your brother is head of the family now. He needs this more than you." Head of the family, of course. The crown always went to Marco, no matter how often he dropped it. His last venture? A luxury scooter rental app that flopped within 3 months. But I was the unreasonable one for not handing over my home like a good little sister. "The answer is no," I said again, more firmly this time. "Ask me one more time and I'm leaving." Then came the slap. Now, with eyes fixed on us under twinkling lights and garden roses, I finally saw the truth. Lillian's stage-whispered sympathy, my father's fury, and Marco, relaxed in his tailored suit, smirking like the victor at a game I hadn't agreed to play. Even Jessica looked pleased, her lips curled into a quiet, satisfied smile. I took a breath, lifted my chin, and smiled. "You'll regret this," I said aloud, loud enough for the crowd to hear. And I meant every word. "All of you will." Then I turned and walked out, the heels of my navy pumps clicking sharply against the flagstone patio of the Del Mar Country Club. Behind me, the shocked silence cracked into whispers, gasps, and someone dropping a glass. I heard Lillian calling after me, her voice strained and panicked, not out of concern for me, but for what the board members and donors might say. I didn't look back. Once in my car, I gripped the steering wheel as the tears came, but they weren't soft or broken. They were hot, furious. I had always been the one who kept it together, who sent holiday cards on time, who showed up when no one else did. While Marco drifted from one failure to the next, I worked every contract, every client, every 3 a.m. deadline to buy that penthouse. And for what? To be slapped for saying no to giving it away? My phone lit up with notifications. Lillian, "Come back. You're causing a scene." Marco, "Don't be dramatic, Elle. Let's talk." Jessica, "Marco deserves stability right now. Be a team player." Dad, "You'll hand him the keys tomorrow. This is final." I powered it off. Then I started driving. Not to the penthouse. I couldn't stand the sight of it, not while their hands still hovered over it in my mind. Instead, I headed to the only place that ever made sense. Cafe Nido, a tucked-away coffee shop near La Jolla Shores, where I used to spend my weekends planning product prototypes and debugging code. Mike, the barista I'd known for years, took one look at my face and brought over my regular, an iced honey oat latte, without a word. "Rough day?" he asked gently. "My father slapped me at my brother's wedding because I refused to give them my penthouse," I replied. The words sounded bizarre out loud, but they were true. Mike's eyes widened. Your penthouse? The one you worked triple shifts for? I nodded, wiping under one eye. He's the man of the family, apparently. That trumps work ethic. That's insane, he muttered, placing a chocolate hazelnut muffin on my plate. This one's on the house. You look like you could take on a war. I gave a tired smile, then stared out the window as the sun dipped behind the cliffs. That's when the fire in me reignited. They thought they could shame me into submission. They thought quiet meant weak. I opened my laptop. First, an email to my attorney, then one to my financial advisor. Next, a GitHub push, code I'd been refining for 6 months. Finally, I called Serena, my real estate agent. Remember that coastal tech campus we looked at in La Jolla? I'm ready to buy. Let my family come for what's mine. This time, I'd be ready. This was war, and I intended to win. The next morning, they came, unannounced. My parents showed up at my penthouse in the Marina District, storming through the lobby like they still owned every room I walked into. Luis, the doorman, had already warned me. Your father didn't stop when I asked, he said. I figured. I met them at the door, calm and composed. Dressed in my charcoal gray power suit, heels sharp, hair pinned, laptop in one hand, house key in the other. Where are you going? Lillian barked, stepping into the hallway. We need to talk about what happened. Work, I said coolly, locking the door behind me. Some of us actually have careers. Don't you dare take that tone, my father growled, grabbing my arm. I yanked it free, my voice cold and cutting. Touch me again, and I'll have you removed by building security. They froze. And yes, I added, there's video of everything from yesterday. The country club security system got it all. Lillian went pale. You wouldn't. Try me. The elevator dinged open. I stepped inside, pressing the button to the garage without looking back. Oh, and don't bother changing the locks while I'm gone, I said over my shoulder. Everything of value is already in storage. The doors slid shut on their stunned silence. I didn't breathe again until I was alone in my car, gripping the steering wheel like a lifeline. Phase 1, complete. Over the next week, I ignored every call, every guilt-laced voicemail. Their messages grew more desperate, then angrier. Marco unleashed the flying monkeys, old friends, cousins I hadn't spoken to in years, all trotting out the same tired lines. Be reasonable. He's your brother. Family is everything. Jessica posted cryptic Instagram quotes about selfishness disguised as independence. I said nothing. What they didn't realize was that I'd been preparing for this for years. Not the slap. I never expected that. But I'd always known they'd try to take what I'd built. So I kept records. Receipts for every mortgage payment, every HOA fee, every renovation I paid out of pocket. Cameras, secure cloud backups, and more than anything, leverage, because I'd been their tech support for a decade. I set up Marco's crypto server. I recovered Dad's lost emails. I even helped Lillian reset her banking password when she accidentally typed it into a scam site. And I still had access. 10 days into silence, Lillian tried a new tactic. She appeared at my office, mascara smudged just enough to seem sincere. Your father is sorry, she said, easing into the chair across from my desk. He was just worried about Marco. Worried about Marco? I muttered, not even glancing up as I kept typing. If you've ever had to stand alone to protect what you built, hit that subscribe button and stay with me. Because what comes next? It's the part where they realize exactly who they underestimated. Or maybe she was more worried about what Marco's investors would do when they found out where their money really went. The sharp intake of breath told me I'd hit the nerve I was aiming for. I don't know what you're talking about, Lillian said carefully. I finally looked up, meeting her eyes. So, you don't know about the offshore accounts? The shell LLCs? The consulting payments Marco funneled into Dad's company? Her skin went pale, lips parting without sound. How did you— I'm very good at what I do, Lillian. She blinked. Did you really think I wouldn't notice Marco using pieces of my old code? Code I wrote inside that flashy crypto platform? It wasn't a scam, she said, barely above a whisper. He just made mistakes. Fraud isn't a mistake. It's a felony. I turned the laptop around, the screen filled with PDFs, transaction trails, and internal Slack messages I'd archived from a compromised admin panel. Dad helped him, I added. Lillian stared at the screen, visibly shaking now. What do you want? She whispered. I want peace. No more demands, no more distant cousins calling to check in, no more cryptic Instagram posts from Jessica, and definitely no conversations about my penthouse. And if we refuse? She asked. I smiled, the same smile I gave my father after the slap. Then this data goes straight to the SEC, along with that country club footage of Dad hitting me. I'm sure Marco's investors would love to know where their seed funding really went. You'd destroy your own family? Her voice cracked. You did that the moment you demanded I hand over my home like a spare coat, when Dad hit me, when Marco smirked about it. I closed the laptop. I'm done being the family's backup plan. She stood and left without another word, but I knew the war wasn't over. They'd regroup. They always did. But this time, I was the one holding the power. That evening, my phone rang. It was Serena, my real estate agent. The coastal complex is yours, she said. The coastal complex. The luxury development Marco and Jessica had been dying to move into. I opened my laptop and pushed the final update to my private GitHub repository, the property management software Marco once tried to steal for his failed startup. A text lit up my phone. Marco, Mom told me, you can't prove anything. I sent back a screenshot, server logs, his IP address, his credentials. Marco, what do you want? Me, distance, no contact, no demands, stay out of my life. Marco, and if I don't? Me, then I'll bury you and Dad with your own data. I own your dream apartment now. The typing dots blinked, then paused, then returned. Marco, you've changed. Me. No, I replied. I finally stopped apologizing. I just stopped pretending to be who you wanted me to be. I placed my phone on silent and stepped out onto the balcony of my penthouse. The sun was sinking beneath the Pacific, casting golden reflections over the San Diego skyline. Behind me was a shattered past, but ahead, quiet, firm peace. The family I'd spent years trying to please was fading with the light, and for the first time in a long time, I felt free. Sometimes the best revenge isn't burning everything down. It's building something so solid, so self-defined, that their opinions no longer matter. 3 months after the wedding chaos, I sat cross-legged on my living room couch, reviewing tenant applications for the oceanfront complex I now owned outright. It had become a smart investment, especially after I installed the custom property management system I'd been quietly perfecting for years, the same one Marco had tried to plagiarize for his failed venture. My phone buzzed. A notification from the complex's management app. Tenant eviction confirmed, Marco Morales and Jessica Morales. Non-payment, 60+ days overdue. I wasn't shocked. After the fallout, Dad's financial lifeline had dried up. Without it, they were learning, painfully, what life without free rides felt like. A knock pulled me from my thoughts. Through my security cam, I saw my father, older, smaller, weathered by consequences he used to think were beneath him. Curiosity edged out indifference. What do you want? I asked through the intercom. 5 minutes, Elena. Please. I opened the door but didn't move aside. He stood in the hallway, not stepping forward, just shifting awkwardly. Marco and Jessica, they're moving back in with us, he said. They couldn't afford the apartment. I know, I replied. I own the building. His eyes widened, his jaw tightening. You? But how? Because I'm good at what I do, Dad. Always was. You just never cared to see it. He looked down, as if that truth weighed more than anything I'd shown him before. Your mother misses you. We all do. No, I said calmly. You miss having someone to control. Someone who'd give up everything to keep Marco afloat. That version of me? She's gone. I was wrong, he whispered. The slap, the pressure, defending Marco. I've lost everything for it. He wasn't lying. I hadn't needed to expose him. The threat had been enough. He stepped down from his board seat. His name vanished from networking circles. His pride was the only thing he'd clung to, and even that was threadbare now. You haven't lost everything, I said. You still have your golden child. Isn't that what always mattered? Elena, please. We're still family. Family? I laughed softly. Family doesn't demand my home. Family doesn't strike me in public. And family sure as hell doesn't sit and smirk while it happens. He flinched at each point, but I wasn't done. You know what I realized after the wedding? I said. I've never needed any of you. Every milestone, every success. I earned it in spite of you, not because of you. I know, my father whispered, barely audible. I know that now. I studied him. This man who once loomed so large in my life, his voice the final word, his temper a storm I always tried to outrun, now stood before me, small, fragile, and utterly diminished. Your 5 minutes are up, I said, beginning to close the door. Wait. He reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. Your mother wanted you to have this. I took it cautiously. What is it? An invitation. Her birthday dinner next week. We'd really like you to come. I nodded, not committing. I'll think about it. After he left, I sat out on the balcony, watching the lights of the gas lamp quarter come alive. I turned the envelope over in my hands, feeling the weight of it. Not just paper, but decades of expectation and disappointment. Part of me wanted to toss it in the trash. But the stronger part, the woman I'd become, knew that real power wasn't in permanent distance. It was in choosing when and if to close the door. The next week, I went. I arrived late, left early. I didn't speak much, just observed. Marco and Jessica sat stiffly in second-hand clothes, the glint of privilege long gone. My father was quiet, measured, avoiding eye contact. Lillian's usual social charm was replaced with tight smiles and nervous energy. They weren't celebrating. They were walking on eggshells. But I had no interest in punishment. I wasn't there for them. I was there to remind myself that I had nothing left to prove. Over the months that followed, something resembling a new dynamic took root. Marco and Jessica found work, basic jobs, honest ones. They rented a modest apartment in East Village. No more startup dreams, no more family handouts. My father stayed in the background, sending the occasional business article or opportunity I didn't ask for. My mother took longer to adapt, still trying to mold me into her version of a good daughter. But eventually, even she started to listen more than speak. 1 year after the slap, I hosted a dinner party. Not for them, for my people. Mike, the barista who slid muffins across the counter without asking. Serena, my real estate agent, who believed in every wild investment. My lawyer, who stood by me without ever doubting I was worth protecting. We dined on the penthouse balcony as golden light spilled across the Pacific. Mike raised his glass. To Elena, he said, grinning. the woman who turned a slap into an empire. I smiled, because that's exactly what it became. Not just wealth, but clarity. Not just survival, but freedom. The kind you carve out for yourself when everyone else tries to steal it. Sometimes, the greatest revenge is not rage. It's rebuilding. And sometimes, the truest family is the one you choose. I raised my glass and finally felt peace. They tried to take my home. Instead, they gave me myself. If you've ever had to choose yourself over family expectations, leave a comment and tell me how you found your strength. I'd love to hear your story. Subscribe if you believe that setting boundaries is an act of courage, not defiance. Sometimes protecting your peace is the most powerful choice you can make.